And welcome back, everyone, to the start of a brand new What If Naruto Had a Zanpakuto, the series. The votes were pretty unanimous down the line when we got to the 11th division, the captains, and the remaining captains. You guys wanted Nozarashi, Kenpachi Zaraki Zanpakuto. Now, in the comments for that poll, a couple of you did reveal that you're not very familiar with Bleach. So, just to recap real quick what these Bleach polls are about. In the series of Bleach, you have characters called Shinigami, death gods. They help usher souls to the afterlife, kill evil, or purify and defeat evil souls, things along those lines. Well, their weapon of choice is called the Zanpakuto, which is a sword that they keep at their side. However, because you have things like spiritual energy, which is more or less their equivalent of chakra in that world, spiritual Ryatsu, Zanpakuto are very special in that by spending so much time with the sword and you infuse your essence, your energy, your Ryatsu, your soul, a part of your soul, into this sword. And this actually manifests the true Zanpakuto, which you generally get as a blank and called a Asahuchi. And then is it Asahuchi is the name of the hollow class or the blank sword? Either way, you get like a blank sword. And eventually you are spending so much time and infusing your essence into the sword that it creates your actual Zanpakuto. And each Shinigami's Zanpakuto is unique. There can never be more than one at any given time. There is a movie that explores the idea of having more than one Zanpakuto. And it's possible that when a Shinigami has died and their Zanpakuto has faded, that Zanpakuto could theoretically reappear down the line. But we've yet to see anything that proves that. Now, for anyone wondering, what is the Zanpakuto that Naruto's going to have? Because it's important to go over that before we go into the verses, or the story, because this is the abilities Naruto's going to try to access as the story goes on. Zaraki's Zanpakuto is among the most simplistic in the world. What you see right there is the Shikai, the first release. There's two releases, Shikai and Bankai. The first release. And it's nothing more than a giant war cleaver axe. But it is a power tool among the power tools. It's simplistic. It's just power incarnate. That said, it's pretty much the best there is at what it does. This thing had literally cut through a meteorite coming down that would wipe out the entirety of, at minimum, a country-sized city, or possibly an entire dimension. It's still a little up in the air what that actual term meant when he said Serite. It literally broke out of a spatial prison where Kenpachi got stuck in like a physical room of space, and Kenpachi cut his way out of it. It is the power tool beyond power tools. But that is not all it can do. And plus, theoretically, if you're smart enough to use it in battle, you could use it to block with the flat side of it or something like that. But Kenpachi is a monster on the battlefield. Eventually, somehow, Kenpachi will make his way into a what if for Naruto, and most Shinigami, once they're captain level, could make mincemeat of the entire Naruto cast. And I'm not saying Naruto as in the Naruto series. I'm talking about the Naruto world going into Boruto. There is very few, once you get into the captain class Shinigami, who would stand even a remote chance in the Naruto verse. But I digress. So Nozarashi is the name. That means weather-beaten one. His Bankai is unique. We don't know the name. It has a name. It must have a name, but we don't know the name of it. It's also a Bankai we haven't spent a lot of time with. So we actually don't know what the full capabilities and spectrum of what this Bankai can do is. But in essence, and I'm using this figurine as an example, that's his Bankai. You should note, that is not how he looks normally if you're not familiar with Bleach. He looks generally like that, but take the horns and red skin out. He's a normal, good, buff, angular-faced dude. But his sword breaks in half, shrinks down to about half its size, and his skin glows red with like tribal markings. He grows Oni horns, and by all accounts, he acts like a Kishin, like a battle demon of all hell that has been wrought. This guy has become so powerful that an individual who was whooping his ass previously, who was beyond the size of skyscrapers, threw a punch at him. The punch being the size of his screen. Kenpachi being the size of maybe my finger here. Kenpachi caught it with his mouth, so stopped it dead, ripped it out at the shoulder, then proceeded to cut him down the middle and then cut him in half. So what this Bankai seems to do, and again, we still don't have a 100% explanation of what this actually does. We can just guess based on what we saw. Is it turns you just basically into a complete berserker of war, and an Oni battle demon Kishin of war and destruction and death. And all your physical abilities and energy, like Ryatsu or chakra in this case, would be enhanced multiple, like so beyond the normal realm that it's not even worth compare. Not even worth. Not it's kind of beyond comparison. That said, there is a extreme drawback. If you release too much power in this Bankai too quickly, Kenpachi had only done it the one time, you will literally blow your body apart. His arm literally blew apart when more energy tried to get released. So, yeah. It's a Zanpakuto that is exceptionally strong, but comes at an exceptional cost if you don't know how to use it right. Now, before we actually get into the what if for 6 minutes in, we just should note, as I say, there are going to be Zanpakuto whose abilities, whose theoretical personalities, gel with Naruto a lot better than others. For example, Benihime, I thought lent itself perfectly to Naruto. He's not an idiot. He's just not book smart, but he's got a good head on his shoulder. So being tricky, crafty, all that leans itself right out to Benihime's alley. Works out great. Ichimonji, I think actually lent itself pretty okay. But others like Minazuki and Tekken, and what was the one I had previously done? Oh, Benihime was, yeah. Tekken, they didn't lean themselves as well. I mean, Naruto could still access them because they were aspects of his personality protecting others that worked. I'm not gonna lie, Nozarashi is gonna be a difficult one for him to access early in the series. Because there is no other character really in anime, at least, maybe in media, but Battle Beast would be the closest one in any other medium I can think of, who's like Kenpachi when it comes to his love of battle. You definitely have characters who love to fight, absolutely, but Kenpachi's very unique because when he fights, it really is just like a little kid, just having the time of his life. Like, to him, combat is just fun. Fights to the death are fun. And seriously, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, go find a fight with Kenpachi. Particularly either his fight with Ichigo at this time or his fight with Niratora. Those are the two that will kind of really encapsulate his enjoyment of battle, I think. So not only are other fights really show it off too, but those I think are the big two that really show it off. Naruto certainly doesn't mind a good scrap. He likes a good fight, but he's not battle hungry in that regard. Now, keep in mind as well before we begin, and I'm almost at 10 minutes now, we're not trying to turn Naruto into any of the characters who originally had these swords. But we will transfer some aspects of them. Like the influence of the blade and the original owner do seem to, I think, could impact Naruto's personality to some degree. With all of that said, like always, Naruto would most likely end up finding the sword in the Scroll of Sealing. A Uzumaki heirloom left over from a past era. And that's why he's the only one who was ever able to access it, because he's the only real Uzumaki left, at least in the village. Uzumaki. So he finds the sword, like, whoa, he looks at it, and he kind of like, the sword is the legacy of the Uzumaki, like a little note, like the sword is the legacy of the Uzumaki. It belonged to a warrior of unparalleled strength. If you are worthy of it, and it finds you worthy of it as well. If it finds you worthy of it, you will unlock power you will never know. Good luck, young Uzumaki, whoever you may be. Now, I made note saying that maybe like all these characters could have been Uzumaki descendants, and I still think that Kenpachi could have been an exception to the rule, because in his world, he doesn't have a family, he doesn't even have an actual name. He gave himself a name. Kenpachi theoretically could have belonged to like someone who kind of was adopted into the Uzumaki. Naruto pulls out the sword, and he notices that it's very worn down. Like it is chipped. Looks like haggard, which is what Kenpachi's sword actually looks like normally. It doesn't even look like quite a normal sword to begin with, even when it's just in its sealed form. It's longer than the standard katana. It's not quite a kodachi, but it's longer than that. Kenpachi one-hands it all the time. He does it because he wants to draw out the fight. but it always looks jagged and broken. And Naruto's just, it's just a broken blade. What? I don't get it. And then he hears, Mizuki coming and Iruka are talking, and he's high, and he grabs a sword, runs. He has his cry when he hears that Iruka, believes in him, and he beats up Mizuki. I don't think he's gonna draw the sword. He just has a sword. And I think one of the things here where is that Iruka says, "Where'd you get the sword?" "Oh, it popped out of the scroll of ceiling." He's like, "Wait, what do you mean it popped out of the scroll of ceiling?" And they take this to the Horokage. He's like, "Don't ever do that again, Naruto. Naruto, what is that you having all?" And he said it came out of the scroll of the ceiling. He's like, "Mm-hmm." And he looks at the scroll. "I see. It is all right, Naruto. Do you wish to keep it, Naruto? I mean, it's not really mine." "Oh, are you sure about that? I believe you read the inscription that came on the scroll when you summoned it out. It's like, well, yeah. I mean, but what about Wait, so I did have failing, and that's something that I don't think I bring up enough. That Naruto was wait, there were Uzumaki's. Like, wait, where are they? And the third would probably have to basically explain that there aren't. If there are any out, and he explains what happened, how they were betrayed and attacked on all sides, and the few who came to this village were the few who were able to survive, scattered across the continent. So I couldn't tell you if there are more left. All I know is that sword, by all accounts, does belong to you, rightfully so." And so Naruto's like, "Oh, okay, wow, I guess I'll do my best to make them and you guys proud then." And so, wait, and Iruka's just, "Wait, are you sure that sword belongs to him?" "I'm more than sure. That sword, if I remember correctly, was a weapon of pure devastation back in its day. But under Naruto, it may be the thing Naruto needs to help to make his dreams a reality. And if nothing else, it would be good to see someone wield it for the sake of the village, as opposed to it just collecting dust in a scroll." And so there you go. Now Naruto has, I think, about a week before he actually has to go and sign up or get his team assigned. I think the Konohamaru thing happens exactly the same. Nothing changes there. But what does change is Naruto tries to practice with the sword, and he finds it really wieldy. It's like, man, I mean, this thing, and he actually tries to cut something. He's like, I can't imagine how sharp this thing got up, and he just cleanly slices through a tree. He's like, what? Holy crap! And there's a mild voice, a very faint voice. It's like, never underestimate your opponent, Naruto. Is it? Did someone say something? Nah, whatever. Should note one last thing, that these Zanpakuto have a spirit inside of them. That is a representation of the person that is the owner. Nozarashi, we don't actually know what Nozarashi looks like. We know it's a woman. It's one of the very few male-owned Zanpakutos that is actually a woman. We do know, though, what the Bankai spirit looks like. The Bankai spirit actually looks different than the Shikai spirit because the sword changes. And that is Yajuru. Now, if you don't, Yajuku Sajishi, which was his lieutenant for the longest time. That's a big spoiler for the series, but we're doing spoilers for these series anyway. It's kind of explained how it happened, but needless to say, that's his Bankai spirit. My guess is, and this is the only guess I have here, is that the Shikai spirit probably looks a lot closer to Unohana than it does with pink hair, because that's the person who influenced him and had such an impact on his life. And so Naruto starts practicing with it, and it's huge. It's taller than Naruto is, this sword. So he's finding it kind of difficult to just wield it. Doesn't have a formal sword style, and it's like, ugh. And does still have to put effort into cutting things. And again, after a while, she's like, yeah, this is really hard. How the hell am I supposed to do this? And she just, again, hears that faint voice, one hand. It's like, what? All right, I'll give it a shot. And surprisingly, though, it's really still kind of cumbersome. He's finding that he can strike the balance a lot easier. He starts figuring out how to hold it easier in one hand. He then, and just starts kind of cutting. And if there's one thing that Kenpachi and Naruto actually have in common, it's the fact that they're actually both really good at thinking on the fly. They're good at just instinct and reflex and just acting and just, working things out in the moment. Case in point, watch his fight with Tozen if you're ever interested in that. And Naruto's very good at kind of doing things on the fly. So Naruto's kind of is actually surprisingly getting the hang of it a little bit with just one hand. He tries it with the other hand. He's not left-handed as far as I know, but he tries it with the other hand. It's a little bit more difficult, but he quickly kind of figures it out. Kind of goes back and forth a little bit. We know Ikaku's ambidextrous. We also know that Shunsui is ambidextrous as well, because he wields a dual blade sword. Whenever we get the Katen Kyo Katsui, that's gonna be a fun one. I'm looking forward to that one. But yes, Naruto spends a lot of his time kind of we're actually working out, practicing the sword. He was thinking, well, if I get physically stronger, I'm going to be able to wield this easier, which is technically true. And so Naruto starts working out a lot more, even putting his clones to work. Although the clones' physical, what they physically get isn't going to work. The experience they get would translate to Naruto. Though Naruto doesn't know that, he just thinks, okay, I'm just going to do that. Maybe train a little chakra control, whatever. And he even here, and he, as he's training, as he's getting stronger, he's, again, every once in a while hearing a faint voice. I think there's just enough of a connection that Naruto might be able to hear Nozarashi, because Nozarashi wanted to be heard. They had to be creative with Kenpachi, but they wanted to be heard. By the way, you like my thumbnail? Side note complete. You like my thumbnail? I couldn't blend the skin tone very well, sadly. But yeah, I thought the angle of which I had the head at works pretty well. Anyway, I digress. So Naruto's working out. And it would take it's like only less than a week he just has to work out. He might be able to get some increase in strength and at that point, but he'd have to be booking it, and then we know he can recover faster, so maybe. Like, I work out relatively regularly, not like going to the gym, but I do a lot of push-ups, sit-ups, a lot of lifting at work. So I do a decent amount, and like am able to maintain my body, but I'm not able to put on a lot of muscle myself. To be fair, that's just what I'm doing. I know if I start lifting weights, if I start eating a lot more protein, I eventually would be putting on a lot more weight and muscle, but I'm actually trying to drop a couple pounds. Give up sugar for the month. I'm doing well at not eating sugar. Don't like not eating sugar. I miss sugar. I haven't had a soda in a little while. I haven't had candy or cake or cookie. I want, but it's fine. I've got the willpower to manage through the month. Anyway, so eventually he goes in, and I think because the sword is so big, Naruto has to strap it on his back, but he straps it in a way where he can pretty much just kind of grab it and just sink like that. So I think the blade is angled on his, the handle's on his his left shoulder, and it's angled in a way where the blade is facing out past his back, so he's going to be able to just shoot like that. Anyway, so he goes in, and they all say, hey, no, this isn't a place for dropouts. Are you seeing this, Shikamaru? Are you seeing it? It's a regulation headband. I was like, whatever. And what's with that sword? It's like, oh, yeah, this is just something I kind of found a while back. Naruto's probably said not to tell anyone that he got the scroll ceiling, mind you. But regardless, everyone sees it. And even Sasuke is kind of looking at him like, oh, come on. And he doesn't say it out loud. But it's like, really? Just you think you're cool because you wield a sword, and keep replying about him. You think you're some sort of badass now, don't you? It's like, and Naruto immediately is like, you want to find out? You want to find out just how badass I am? And he kind of has a bit of a grin. And Kiba's a little is still being a little alpha, but he actually is getting a vibe off Naruto. He's like, what? We're going to deal with this a little bit later on, because we're only at 18 minutes. I'm going to try to at least go to 30, because I spent so much time explaining the sword. That's the one downside of the first part of the Zanpakuto series. I do have to explain the sword, and that does take up a chunk of time. So, everyone comes in. Sakura kind of knocks him out of the seat a little bit. Naruto gets in Sasuke's face. And I still think that kiss happens, and it's very hilarious. Team 7 gets chosen, and Naruto's still very much Naruto here. There's no real change in his personality up to this point. If anything, he's actually maybe a little bit more aggressive, with the minor influences of Nozarashi kind of, getting him a little bit more aggressive towards his opponents or towards his peers. So instead of more of a whining, he almost growls a little bit like, why exactly why does a great ninja like me have to be on the same team as him? Naruto, we keep the class balanced. Sasuke got the best rides in the class. You, Naruto, got the worst. And so there you go. Naruto, meanwhile, does the prank on Kakashi. They go up to the roof. They give their spiel about what they like, what they hate. Naruto does that though. I like training and Naruto I like training and I don't mind a good scrap now. Yeah, scrap now and then. And Naruto's like, wait, where'd that come from? I mean, it's not wrong, but huh. And Kakashi's like, interesting. And he still does the Hokage thing and whatnot. The next day comes, they're all tired and hungry. Naruto comes in with his sword instead of his draws his kunai first. Because his sword isn't instinctual yet. He's not a true swordsman yet. Kakashi stops him and they go to hide. And Naruto then obviously challenges him straight out to a fight. Like, challenge you, fight me right here, right now. It's like, you're a little bit weird. The only thing weird here is your haircut. I was like, fine. I was, what? What are you doing? What are you reading that book for? What? Why? To see what happens in the story. But go ahead. With your level of skill, there's no way you are gonna be able to do anything to me. It's like I'm gonna cut you in two. And then just all of a sudden, Kakashi has to like. That's right. I almost forgot he has that. And surprisingly, when they see Naruto's blade hit the ground, and Naruto hits it because he's going, even though he's hungry, so he's still not as strong as he could be. He goes boom. And there's a surprising little crate, not like huge, but like enough with the sword strike, a nut that's like that big, which wouldn't seem like much. But when you're talking about a narrow blade and the amount of striking power you would need to do that, even Kakashi's like, he's a lot strong physically. He must be working out because that sword strike was quite impressive. It's like, wow. I was like, where do you think you're going? Now, unfortunately, Naruto is not very skilled with the blade. He's better than pretty much anyone in his grade at this point, but that's not saying much because no one else uses a sword in his grade. But Kakashi's like, no, no accounting for actual skill. That's Kakashi does put the book away, and I was like, because he's like, okay, all right, Naruto, I see your little game. Let's play. And all of a sudden, you really shouldn't be letting your opponent get behind you all the time. 1,000 years of death. And he goes into water. All of a sudden, Naruto pops out. You. Makes the shadow clones. It's like, it's a shadow clone. So this is going to be a bit more problematic. And then the one Naruto snuck up, because he's still Naruto. He's not a... Calling Kenpachi a meathead might be a little... Someone said that in the Kasame versus Kenpachi video. Kenpachi's not a meathead. Kenpachi just doesn't like to think. That's not his preferred way of fighting. But, again, I refer you to the Tozen video. Tozen and... I'm actually going to even say the Grammy fight a little bit. But I refer you to the Tozen video in order to prove that he's not a meathead. He just prefers not to think. Naruto, though, still is very much going to be Naruto. He's just going to clearly be having some influence. It's like, got you! And Naruto's almost got a little bit of like a maniac. He's like, God! And they crash down. They instead cut the clone. And the difference here is that unlike before where he was able to confuse Naruto, here because they cut the clone just it's like, what? So Naruto isn't attacking himself here. He's the substitution jutsu. Where the hell did he go? And I think here Kakashi realizes the bell trick isn't going to work because Naruto's got a sword, which means he could get caught. He'll just cut himself down. So Kakashi actually does have to put a little bit more effort in here. And so, Earth Star, Headhunter Jutsu pulls down one of the Narutos. It turns out to be a clone. He's down on the ground. Another clone goes, jump! It's like, you, and all of a sudden Naruto instinctually puts a bit of chakra into his blade. And just, and surprisingly cracks the ground pretty hard. And Kakashi gets out of the ground. Oh, man, it's like, where'd you pick that up? It's like, no idea. No idea, but I'm not stopping now. This is just getting fun. And Naruto's kind of almost forgetting about the bell. Almost. It's like, I'm going to beat you to get that bell, Kakashi Sensei. And there's only like 5 Naruto clones left. Kakashi actually now has to put up a bit of fight. Because even though the Narutos don't really have the best tactics or skill, there's enough of them, and they're kind of random enough that he does have to pull out the kunai and be like, nope, sorry, can't be. And he actually just almost sees the blade come right at his waist, but he realizes that the blade's going for the bells and does clip a bell. It's like, got it! No! It gets clipped right in the face. Naruto finally just back on the ground, like far away by himself, just, He just leans himself up. Meanwhile, Sasuke and Sakura are going like, how the hell did he do this? Like, when did he get this strong? Naruto's flexing a little bit of his chakra that he can still access, because we know you can't create that chakra aura. We know you can even fight with the chakra aura. Kenpachi does that kind of all the time with his Shiriatsu. And I can see a little bit of that influencing Naruto. He just kind of flexes it a bit. Like, it's not over yet. It's Kakashi Sensei. Oh, and how do you figure? So I haven't brought out my secret weapon yet. It's like, you're putting two hands on your blade. Yeah. Yeah, I gotta admit, I'm better with that. It's easier to wield this thing with one hand. But it's too big for me otherwise. But there's a good trade-off for it being a lot harder to wield. Oh, and what's that? Naruto kind of just powers up. So, yeah, and then passes out. Wait, that was another clone? And he's like, it really makes me fight. Sorry, it's a lot harder of a strike. Huh? And then Kakashi just, and this time it actually causes the ground to kind of burst open. Again, not huge. He's not Kenpachi. I mean, by all accounts, chakra-wise, he would be kind of the equivalent with his chakra in Nozarashi. Kisame is probably your Kenpachi equivalent within the Naruto world, but he has far more abilities than Zaraki does. But Naruto still has a lot, especially by the end of the series. He's got God knows how much chakra. So he could still be at a Kenpachi equivalent by the end of the series. Still, kind of like a big, massive boom. And at this point, Kakashi's like, well, time to put you down, Naruto. And all of a sudden, he hears hears something coming, and he sees Shuriken and Kunai coming. Just ching, ching, he blocks, dodges. Meanwhile, Sakura is trying, because she wants to be with Sasuke, she can't put him on their Genjutsu because she doesn't have it, but she is trying to also use a little bit of ninja wire to grab him. He's got, like, it almost grabs him, actually grabs his pinky, and he's like, oh crap. And he realizes, that's going to cut my finger off. Not good. Unfortunately, Naruto comes in, and it's like, and he just kind of chink, uses it to cut the wire. It's like, damn it, Naruto, you idiot, I almost had him. And to which Sasuke does immediately point out, he had his finger. At best, he would have been partially immobile. Worse, he just cuts off his finger. Well, seems you guys are, and Sasuke and Sakura are right there. Oh, it's coming at me while your teammate had me distracted. I gotta admit, that's impressive. And Naruto's just looking at it, like, what are you doing here? I could have had this myself. It's like, you're right, you could have. Maybe you could have, but I doubt it. Or Sasuke was like, yeah, right, you were on your last legs. But Kakashi Sensei's actually had to put in some effort, so this is the perfect time to come after him. And fine, just stay out of my way. Do you stay out of mine? Wait, Sasuke, Naruto. And they're unintentionally working together as Naruto is coming in with the sword. He actually sticks and just Kakashi just grabs his arms. Like, is that really the best you get? Kicks Sasuke, best you got? No. And all of a sudden he just sticks the sword in the ground, just angles it up, and actually kicks Kakashi successfully. Because Naruto's not going to be a straight swordsman. He'll still fight with hand to hand, because it's what he's pretty much known for up until this point. But he successfully, and just as Sakura's behind him, it's like, what? And is about to grab the bell, the alarm rings, just ching. It's like, and she grabs it just after it. It's like, well, I'll be damned. You actually succeeded in getting the bells. Of course, it was immediately after the alarm rang. Still, I have to give you some credit. So I'll tell you what. Even though you technically failed, I'll give you one more chance. And obviously, they do the tree post. Now, would would Naruto be tied to the tree or the post? That's a good question, actually, because Naruto was putting in the most work in this fight. Sasuke came, and it was Sasuke's idea to kind of just, step in and aid Naruto, even if he was not really intending to aid Naruto. I think Sakura's the one who caught the bell. I think he just punished Naruto for actually, getting a lucky shot in on him. He ties him to the post. I think that'd be funny. His sword's on the side. They start defeating Naruto, and obviously Kakashi sends up, you broke the rules. I hope you're ready for the consequences. You said the three of us are one. That's why she that's why she gave me your lunch. The three of you are one. That's your excuse. You pass. And so he explains, why those who break rules are scum, but those who obey their friends are worse than scum. And so Team 7 passes. Join us next time on the Naruto What If for the mission to Wave. So, like I said, this is going to be an interesting one because Nozarashi does not lend itself to Naruto's personality anywhere near as well as most of the other Zanpakuto. With most of the other Zanpakuto, I am able to figure out kind of where they land in terms of Naruto's personality. Again, Ryujin Jika, Tenken, and Minazuki. It's a little difficult, but I can kind of figure it out based on who they belong to. Benihime and Ichimonji were very easy to be like, okay, he's going to get these Zanpakuto, access the power of these pretty quick. Nozarashi is not like that. Nozarashi is actually going to be kind of difficult to figure out where I think he's actually going to get access to the Shikai, let alone the Bankai. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that. Honestly, I have a hunch of where I'm going to do it. But it does involve Naruto having to be in his mindscape to meet Nozarashi. Because otherwise, and that's the thing, Naruto has to be able to meet his spirit in order to really kind of understand it. Very rarely, unless it's like Zangetsu or something, which kind of always in a permanent state of release. I don't see it being outside of that. Now, where Naruto meets Nozarashi and when he's in his mindscape, that's up for me to decide. I have an idea of where that's going to be. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And I'll see you folks for the next one. Later.